According to an MIT report, 95% of AI projects within enterprise are complete and total failures. Now, as a software engineer, I have a lot of thoughts on this, and I wanted to go through the actual report from MIT to make sure that the claims that they're making are backed up. The very legitimate question that everybody has in their minds is AI just a giant bubble? Is AI here to take my job? Is it here to save the world? Is it here to take over the world? There's really not much that we know in terms of the capabilities of AI. But people hear a lot of things, right? There's a lot of discourse that's saying AI is revolutionary. There's a lot of discourse that's saying that AI is the worst thing ever. AI sucks. AI art is garbage. AI advertisement is the worst thing ever. But at the end of the day, all AI is to me is a tool. And the fact of the matter is that we are the very, very early stages of adopting this tool. We may say that ChatGPT 5 is the best new thing that's ever came out. It's going to change the way engineers are going to do everything. But that just really isn't the case. And you'll see that throughout the research provided here. So I'll just go to my first point here. Despite 30 to 40 billion in enterprise investments into Gen AI, this report uncovers that a surprising result that 95% of organizations are getting zero return. And by zero return, that means that they're literally losing money by investing into these new tools. 30 to 40 billion is not chump change. Maybe it is if you're like a mid to large size enterprise, but in reality, this 95% makes a ton of sense because most Gen AI systems aren't actually suited for enterprise solutions because most Gen AI systems don't actually retain feedback, adapt to context, or improve over time. The reason why this is so important is that if something does not retain feedback, adapt to context, or improve over time, the quality of the responses just stays the same. So if you have some sort of task that's like super important or you need to get done that needs to be managed over a long period of time, AI automatically has a drop off in terms of how well it performs in these stages, in these later stages. Like if you wanted to start a project, AI really excels because there's so much context for people just starting and doing projects, right? So like, let's say that you have some sort of new app that you wanted to create, Instagram 2.0. You know how many people have already tried to do that? Hundreds, thousands, millions of people have figured out the initial stages of whatever that is. The difficult part is getting to this portion, which is where these big companies essentially are. They're at the stage where, hey, I have some sort of solution for customers and I sell it to them at a pretty reasonable price. This product needs to perform. It's not some really easy solution. It needs to work properly. It needs to provide accurate results, and it can't mess up. Let's say you have some project that works about like 80% of the time over here, but 95% of the time or 99% over the time over here. This 85% still screws over your entire pipeline and your entire company as a whole. So it's not worth it. This table expands a little bit more on like the industries that I was talking about before. You see you got back-end automation, keep customer relationships, things that are repetitive, right? Documentation, professional services, client delivery remains unchanged. These remain unchanged. Limited impact. Just the front end of most stuff in the businesses are going to be faster. This is like a quote directly from the article. It says, the hype on LinkedIn says everything has changed, but in our operations, nothing fundamental is shifting. We're processing some contracts faster, but that's all that has changed. And that means that, hey, those 95% of projects probably, maybe the 5% that succeeded the most were these processing of contracts, small like emails or follow-ups or something like that. Not like game-changing, completely new internal products that change entirely the way that the business did business. But who knows? The research paper did go through some limitations with the actual way that they did the research. This sample size is varied. I think they only had like 50 or 60 or so companies that they actually investigated or looked into. And, maybe we're all wrong. Maybe AI is here to take our lunch. But again, most people and most actual like leaders say the same thing. Maybe one or two of these tools are genuinely useful, but the rest are just wrappers or science projects. a lot of the success with AI is at the top, right? The winners that win with these AI tools, this Scale AI, Windsurf, these big companies, they're the ones who are making all the bread, all the money. Everybody else, they got nothing over here. Do you think some team at I don't know, random startup company or random mid-sized banking company is creating and adding in new AI tools are going to revolutionize the way they do business? No, not really. And they probably, even if they could afford these new tools, the implementation of them isn't going to be correct in the first place, because most of the AI tools that are being created and are used today for enterprises are pretty general, not specific use cases. And this is another thing that I want to highlight. 40% of knowledge workers use AI tools personally, but they're unreliable. They sometimes don't work. And this is the problem, right? How can you use tools and how can you say that AI is here to take your lunch when you don't even trust it enough to actually do the work that's important, to actually create the value? Most people use AI for writing emails. Most people use AI for following up, for small text, small little tasks here and there. And I think there's even, did I write this down over here? Let's see. And I want to highlight this from the article: perceived fitness for high stakes work. Would you assign this task to an AI or a junior colleague? Complex projects, multi-week work, anything that actually involves customer relationships or something that's important that's going to actually make you money, right? 90% of people would rather use a human than an AI. And I think that just proves the case that, hey, maybe AI really isn't here yet to take our lunch. Maybe AI really isn't here yet to replace everything that we do. Sure, right? You can use AI to summarize things, move a little bit faster, but if you don't have the actual skills, communication, programming, the actual fundamental understanding, the actual thing that people pay you for, then these quick tasks things, these basic analysis really aren't all that valuable. It'll save you a little bit of time here and there. And so this means that, hey, if you have a general purpose tool that pretty much does everything that an enterprise version tool would do, right? So let's say you have company GPT versus ChatGPT, right? Which is company GPT is 100% just a offshoot of ChatGPT. Most people are going to use ChatGPT because it's the established one. They trust it more. And so that means that there's no point in investing all of this money into these specific company LLMs or specific tools, right? Most people who actually use AI are going to just stick with the ChatGPT tools. Companies can't afford to create these new solutions every single time when people just want the most reliable and successful thing, right? It's this costs way more money. It probably doesn't work. And everybody uses ChatGPT already personally. And so this brings me to the more tactical side of the video. Winning startups build systems that learn from feedback, retain context, and customize deeply to specific workflows. They start at workflow edges with significant customization, then scale into core processes. This is where the heart and the 5% of most AI startups win. It's not in the, hey, I created a tool that can, automate everything and make your entire life easier as a salesman or something like that. It's just one specific way that it can be utilized in order to help one customer pay more money, one workflow get a little bit more efficient. You have to really understand the domain that you're building this product for, and that's what makes this 95% failure rate so realizable, right? You hire out a team to essentially make a tool or product for the people who are actually doing the work. It's not gonna be correct. It's not gonna be optimized to how the people who are doing the actual job are gonna want it to be. So that means that tools with low setup burden and fast time to value outperform these heavy enterprise builds. And this point brings me to Alex Hormozi's value equation. If you haven't seen this before, it's essentially an equation that determines what makes a product valuable. Dream outcomes times the perceived likelihood of achievement divided by the time delay versus the effort and sacrifice. Essentially, it's saying that you want to have here a product that has a really great dream outcome, a really high perceived likelihood of achievement, low time delay, and low effort and sacrifice. And that's where you're going to beat out these heavy enterprise builds, because they are going to take a lot of time, a lot of effort and sacrifice. The dream outcome may be the same, but the perceived likelihood of achievement, according to all these other failed projects that already didn't work, is going to be higher as well, or I guess lower in this case. And so again, right, anything that involves complex internal logic, opaque decisions, optimization based on proprietary heuristics. That just means like optimization based on like data that already exists. These tools frequently hit adoption friction due to deep enterprise specificity. AI is bad at being specific. 95% of these projects fail because they're trying to solve problems that are extremely, extremely specific. You can't put a Band-Aid on all the problems within an enterprise. And that's what most people think that AI is going to do. It's just something that you slap on, it solves all your problems, it fixes everything, it makes you into a programmer. But that's just not the case. I mean, also, it isn't just completely losses either. I mean, we can see that the back of office, there is customer service and document processing gains, agency spend reduction, risk checks are easier, customer retention is easier, lead qualification. These things that are like the super repetitive, everybody needs to do them. You need to track this. You need to have some sort of way that you're seeing and improving your business from this. All of these metrics are improving, and the speed of like collecting them is improving. And let's be real, guys. AI is definitely here to stay. It's going to become a part of our lives, whether we like it or not. So we need to figure out ways to actually generate value from it, rather than just thinking that it's going to solve all of our problems, because it really isn't, right? Listen, people may be blaming AI for taking all of our jobs, ruining the economy, making artists' jobs harder. But I don't think we're anywhere close to actually seeing that. I think that most people like finding excuses for not getting things done. And if me saying that, hey, AI stole my job is the excuse that I'm going to give, then it's a pretty good excuse. It's like, hey, I couldn't stop it. Technology advanced and leaped forward, and it's like, whatever. I couldn't do anything about it, right? But I don't think, for me, and it is a valid excuse for me to say, I'm going to stop learning, I'm going to stop getting better. I'm just going to keep treating it as a tool. And I'm going to use it as leverage for me to just get better, right? I'm not going to say that AI is here as something that's evil. It's not inherently evil. It's just a tool. I'm just going to use it like that, and hopefully we'll get something really great out of it. I think that for most people, AI probably isn't actually going to really affect them. As a software engineer, it definitely affects me. But if you're a banker, if you're a baker, if you're a landscaper, if you own any sort of business that doesn't involve this sort of technology, then you're absolutely completely fine. Sure, knowledge workers, people who work in data collection or some sort of job that's like extremely repetitive and you need to be on the phone a long time is probably going to be replaced. But I ask you at the same time, it's like, is that really the career that you wanted? If AI is replacing your job, maybe that means that you should think about upskilling or getting to a higher level. Because remember, AI is the best at those really initial menial tasks. It gets worse as the context keeps getting further. So if you just get skills or get knowledge to this point, you're automatically ahead of the AI. And hey, the AI is already here for everybody to use, $20 a month for ChatGPT Pro. Why don't you just learn how to get to this point over here and then get to a little bit even further by spending some more time, actually reading, learning, putting in the extra effort to learn, and then you're going to be ahead of that AI curve. Because at the end of the day, guys, it's really not hard to be exceptional. I think somebody who shows up, somebody who smiles, is always like looking to learn something, I think that's pretty much all you need in order to succeed. And I know that sounds crazy, right? But if you literally just like show up, do one thing with like a good attitude, and you are constantly learning new things, you don't just stop at one, I'm like fairly certain that you'll live a great life and that nothing can replace you, right? Because humans are awesome. I don't know. Do you guys agree? I think that AI is still at the very early stages of what it could possibly be. I think we're seeing some jumps and bumps here, but I also do think in terms of VC money and the way that things are being spent, sure, there might be a little bit of a bubble. But in reality, it's just a tool. It's going to be here for a very long time. Let's see where it's at in 30 years. Maybe it'll replace all of our jobs. Who knows? We don't really know. At the end of the day, it's always important to just be curious, just try your best, and just keep going. Because, AI is here to stay. It's not going to change everything, and it hasn't changed everything yet. Sure, it has changed some things, but, your life is still your life. You still got a lot of time to figure out what you want to do with it and get better at whatever you're trying to get better at. So, good luck. And do you agree with me? Do you think AI is terrible? Do you think AI is the best thing? I mean, do you guys agree? Do you think that AI is something that's here to stay? Is something that's terrible? Is something that is just wasting billions of dollars? I don't know. Just let me know what you think in the comments down below. My name is Matt, the Live Company. I really appreciate you watching, and have a nice day. Peace.